Because the reality of La Masia is that between Busquets and Ansu Fati, unless I'm forgetting somebody, the best player that came out of La Masia and actually stayed and contributed to Barcelona was Sergio Roberto. And I know Jules, not a big fan.
No,
they've had guys who've been successful elsewhere, like Icardi, like Adama Traore, but these guys aren't exactly pulling up trees, are they? I mean, would Adama Traore and Icardi help this Barcelona team? Yeah, right now, yeah. But would they've helped Barcelona a couple years ago? Probably not. So what's your take on this, Sam? Do we tend to overrate this? Is he guilty of pushing this romantic notion, or does he just not have any choice?
No, it's definitely true what you say. There's this romantic notion of La Masia, and there's very good PR around it, when the reality, if we break it down, there are a lot of good academies at top clubs at the moment. If you look at the players in the last sort of 10 years that Madrid have produced and even sold at profit that have come through La Fábrica, it's probably been better than La Masia over the last 10 years. It's also true, though, that Barca lost their way a little bit. And you talk about players like Adama and Icardi. I guess Thiago is someone who left in different circumstances. There have been players coming through who have played with the first team but have gone on to play elsewhere. Guys like, Marc Bartra as well, and people like that haven't quite cracked it at the club, who perhaps Barca lost their way in the sense that rather than having these players in the squad, they would go out and they would sign an Andre Gomez or a Paco Alcácer, when perhaps they would have been fine giving more minutes to the players that they had coming through. And now they've reached this point of desperation where, it is a little bit desperate the way they want to now sell it again, even though there is a very, very talented group of players coming through.
I mean, Carles Alenia, Teo, all those guys. But it cycles, Gab. So Chelsea won't always have a generation like they have now with Reece James and Chalobah and Mount and Tammy Abraham and all those players. It's like United with that 92, the class of 92. This is all, I think this is what happened. Masia, La Masia or not La Masia. But
I guess my concern is at some point you have to be sure, and I'm all for playing the kids in this situation, and if you have to sell the narrative and you're Xavi, go for it. But the point is, should things go badly, you have to be sure about the kid, because people can really be burned by this psychologically.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, Ricky Puig, I think, is an example. He's still there. Maybe he's a reclamation project or whatever.
He's good on Instagram, though.
But he's very good on Insta. But so you just have to be careful that, to try to get a little help in the present, you're not hurting the future, because that's happened before too. On the financial side, obviously we know there's a ton of debt. I don't want to turn this into a boring accounting show, but they're going to either make money from qualifying for the Champions League for next season, or make money in the Europa League all the way in the final. That's another path to qualifying. Yeah. Jules, I just want to give a quick whip round here about who thinks the better shot is going to be by the league or by the Europa League. Jules?
Europa League every single day. They will have to go through a playoff now to reach the last 16 and play a team that finished second in their group in the Europa League already, which could be a tough draw if it's a team like Lazio, for example, or those kind of calibers. Could be easier. And then after that, you've got your 2 games in the last 16, 2 quarterfinals, 2 semifinals, 1 final. It's easier path than La Liga, where they're 6 points behind Atletico Madrid in 4th, with Betis and Sevilla ahead of them. And those the 2 Sevilla teams might crumble and not finish top 4 or whatever. And there's Real Sociedad in there. But I don't know. I'm worried about this Barca team. Almost halfway through the season, they play Osasuna and Elche. But after that, it's a bit tougher.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say it's far more likely they get through via the league, because they still have a better squad and there's more things you can
What's
control.
Wrong with the Europa League? What don't you think? You don't think they can win it?
No. It's a knockout competition. It's a knockout competition. And so anything can go wrong. And I do think that they're going to play better teams in the Europa League than they will between now and the end of the season. But there's a good chance that that'll happen. But Sam, you get the deciding vote here.
Simon, you know who says the truth here.
No, I'm sorry, Jules, but I'm convinced coming in the top 4. Top 4 is much more realistic than.
There you go, Visca Barca.
So you're not worried about their league form? You think that? I mean, even Osasuna at the weekend, I'm like, this is going to be tricky. This is going to be really tricky.
Every away game is going to be tricky, and I'm completely worried about Barca's league form. But I still think that they're much more likely to finish in the top 4 than to win the Europa League. If, like you said before, they scored 2 goals in the Champions League. They just about beat Dynamo Kiev. They couldn't beat Benfica. So the Europa League's going to have some tough games for them. Dortmund are dropping in there, Sevilla are
maybe you're right. Maybe you two are
obviously,
right.
if you're mid-table in April and you're in the quarterfinals of Europa League, then obviously you reevaluate. But for now, 6 points, a lot of games to go.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.